for the next 365 days. There is no outside communication here.
What's that on the other side?
That is East Tower. Contact with the other side is strictly forbidden.
The Gorge is built around a mysterious and dangerous location that becomes the center of a tense and emotionally charged story. The film unfolds in a remote and isolated region where a massive gorge separates two sides of a landscape that seems untouched by civilization. This natural formation is not just a geographical feature, but a symbol of division, secrecy, and hidden danger. The story begins with two highly trained individuals assigned to guard opposite sides of the gorge, each stationed in fortified watchtowers with strict orders never to cross or make direct contact with the other side. Both characters are skilled professionals, with backgrounds that suggest they have been chosen for this mission. Because of their discipline, resilience, and ability to operate alone for long periods of time. Their task appears simple at first: monitor the gorge, report any unusual activity, and ensure that nothing crosses from one side to the other. However, the lack of clear explanations about what exactly they are guarding creates a constant sense of unease. The silence of the environment, combined with the secrecy surrounding their assignment, makes the situation feel increasingly unnatural. Life in isolation begins to affect both guards in different ways. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months, with little change in their routine. The only human presence they are aware of is each other, visible only from a distance across the vast chasm. At first, they strictly follow protocol, avoiding any unnecessary communication. Yet the psychological strain of loneliness slowly chips away at their discipline. Small gestures, such as a wave or a signal using lights, become the first cracks in the rigid rules they were given. As communication between the two sides gradually begins, a fragile connection forms. What starts as cautious observation turns into silent companionship. They develop ways to exchange messages across the gorge, sharing fragments of their pasts and the reasons they accepted such a strange assignment. These interactions bring warmth and humanity into an otherwise cold and mechanical mission, making their isolation slightly more bearable. At the same time, their growing bond introduces a new layer of tension. As they are aware that breaking protocol could have serious consequences, the gorge itself begins to feel less like a passive landscape and more like an active threat. Strange sounds echo from its depths during the night, and occasional tremors shake the ground, suggesting that something far below the surface is moving or changing. Neither guard has been told what lies within the gorge, but the strictness of their orders implies that whatever is down there is dangerous enough to justify extreme secrecy and constant surveillance. As curiosity grows, both guards start to question the true nature of their mission. Their superiors provide only vague responses to their reports, often avoiding direct answers and reminding them to follow orders without asking questions. This lack of transparency fuels suspicion that they are being used as expendable pieces in a larger operation. The more they talk to each other, the more they realize that neither of them fully understands what they are protecting, or why they were chosen specifically for this duty. One night, a major disturbance erupts from within the gorge. A loud, echoing roar rises from the darkness, followed by violent tremors that cause rocks and debris to fall from the cliffs. The guards are forced into high alert, scanning the abyss with their equipment and weapons ready. Through the swirling dust and shadows, they catch fleeting glimpses of movement far below, something massive shifting in ways that do not resemble any known animal. This moment confirms their fears that the gorge is not empty but hiding something alive and potentially hostile. After this event, the tone of their mission changes dramatically. Their superiors begin issuing more urgent and contradictory orders, sometimes instructing them to hold their positions at all costs and at other times preparing evacuation protocols. The confusion suggests that even the people who assign them to this post may not have complete control over the situation. The guards are left feeling abandoned, trapped between their duty to follow orders and their instinct to ensure their own survival. The bond between the two guards deepens as the danger becomes more immediate. They begin to rely on each other not just for emotional support, but also for tactical planning. Together, they share observations and theories about what might be living inside the gorge. Their conversations reveal their fears, regrets, and hopes for a future beyond this assignment, making their relationship one of the emotional anchors of the story. What started as silent companionship gradually evolves into genuine care and trust as more disturbances occur. Strange creatures start appearing along the edges of the gorge, climbing or crawling out of hidden crevices in the rock. These beings are unlike anything the guards have encountered before, moving with unnatural speed and showing signs of intelligence. The guards are forced to engage them in defensive combat, using their training and weapons to prevent the creatures from reaching the surface. These encounters confirm that the gorge is not just hiding a single threat but an entire ecosystem of dangerous life forms, the realization that they are essentially the last line of defense between these creatures and the outside world adds immense pressure to their situation. They begin to understand that their mission was never just about observation but about containment. The isolation of their posts now makes sense, as any large-scale military presence might have risked drawing attention to the gorge's existence. This revelation makes them question the morality of those who sent them there, as they were never fully informed about the level of danger they would face, despite their fear. Both guards show remarkable courage and adaptability. They reinforce their towers, create new defensive strategies, and coordinate their actions across the gorge to cover each other's blind spots. Their teamwork, despite the physical distance between them, becomes crucial in surviving the escalating attacks. These sequences highlight not only their combat skills but also the emotional strength they gain from knowing that someone else understands their situation completely. Eventually, the creatures' attacks become more organized, suggesting that they are being driven by something more powerful deeper within the gorge. The guards begin to suspect that a central entity or leader might be controlling their movements. This possibility adds a new layer of dread, as it implies that the threat is not only physical but also strategic. The idea of an intelligent force planning to escape from the gorge raises the stakes of the story significantly. In a desperate attempt to understand what they are facing, one of the guards considers breaking the ultimate rule and crossing the gorge to join forces with the other. This decision is filled with emotional and moral conflict, as it means abandoning their posts and disobeying direct orders. However, the worsening situation and the growing sense that they have been left to die push them toward taking this risk. The moment they seriously consider meeting face-to-face marks a turning point in the narrative, shifting the story from passive defense to active resistance. The climax builds as the creatures launch a large-scale assault on both towers simultaneously. The guards fight with everything they have, using their remaining ammunition, improvised traps, and the advantage of their fortified positions. Amid the chaos, communication between them becomes more urgent and personal, with each encouraging the other to hold on and survive. Their voices, once calm and distant, are now filled with raw emotion and desperation. During the final confrontation, the true scale of the threat within the gorge is briefly revealed. A massive shape rises from the darkness, larger than any of the creatures seen before, its presence causing the ground to tremble and the air to vibrate with a low, terrifying sound. This entity appears to be the source of the smaller creatures and the reason the gorge has been kept under strict surveillance for so long. The guards realize that if it ever fully emerges, it could devastate everything beyond the gorge. The story reaches its emotional peak as the guards are forced to make impossible choices about survival, duty, and sacrifice. Their connection, formed through months of isolation and shared danger, becomes the driving force behind their actions. Whether they choose to escape, stand their ground, or attempt to destroy the threat, their decisions are shaped by the bond they built across the abyss and the understanding that they are no longer just following orders but fighting for each other and for the world beyond the gorge. In the aftermath of the final battle, the gorge falls silent once again, but the sense of peace is fragile and uncertain. The surviving guard, if any, is left to process the trauma of everything that happened, haunted by memories of the creatures, the constant fear, and the voice that once kept them company across the vast divide. The mission that once seemed like just another assignment is revealed to have been one of the most dangerous and secretive operations imaginable. The ending leaves lingering questions about whether the threat has truly been contained or merely delayed. Subtle hints suggest that the Gorge may still be hiding secrets and that the forces responsible for the mission may continue their experiments or surveillance in even greater secrecy. This open-ended conclusion reinforces the themes of isolation, trust, and the cost of hidden wars fought in places the world will never know about, leaving the audience with a haunting sense that so